Chris Kelsey here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, we are in lockdown, Matt. The theater chains, all of them, are closed. Our precious AMC A-list has been paused, which we appreciate that. Though I will admit, if they were to continue to pay their people, I'd be alright with them charging me the 20-something bucks a month still. But we don't have to spend time about that because right now it is terrifying out there. I tried to get some toilet paper this week, Matt, and I barely got out of that Whole Foods alive. It is a scary place. I'm thinking about getting a gun. I don't know yet. I'm on the fence. So, as the theaters are closed, we've had to shift entirely to streaming, which may be to your benefit. And I don't know if it's going to be to ours, but we'll find out. Because we're going to discuss Color Out of Space. It is the latest film from Richard Stanley. If you're not familiar with Mr. Stanley, he did a great little B sci-fi horror film back, was it in the early 90s? 1990, Hardware. Another film, Dust Devil. And then he was given the Island of Dr. Moreau remake with Brando, right? And unceremoniously fired. So he hasn't really been involved with stuff really since then until now with this adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's Color Out of Space. Our martial arts marathon continues as well, Matt, with Crippled Avengers, which is a pseudo-sequel to the Five Deadly Venoms. And the martial arts marathon has been a little hit and miss. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. So we'll see if this was a hit or a miss, as the kids say. And then finally, since everybody is self-quarantining and staying at home, if you can, we're going to give you some streaming picks. We're going to give you 6 or so. We're going to give you a genre and tell you what the best thing to see right now for that particular one. So let's start everything off with a clip from Color Out of Space. But first up, Matt, let's make sure we are safe. Okay, we are secure, and then let's start.
Sucking the life out of everything. It came down in the rocks. It lives in the well. It grew down there, poisoning everything, changing everything into something like the world can grow into what it knows. We all know what's coming, but we can't give it away. It's got everything that lives.
If somebody had told me, Matt, that Tommy Chong was going to deliver one of the more disconcerting performances in a horror film in 2020, I probably would have been a little more than just surprised. So, why don't you tell the fine folks at home, what is Color Out of Space all about?
A family lives in rural Massachusetts. They are living their lives on a farm, making the best do that they can, when a meteorite crashes from space, obviously, and it starts to change the environment. Strange creatures start appearing, plant life that's unearthly starts appearing, and it starts to have an effect on anyone who comes in contact with the meteorite and the things that are going on around it.
So, let me ask you, Matt, your thoughts on Color Out of Space. It is... I'm going to tell you one thing. There had some very kind of Pod People-esque vibe to me, the old Mystery Science Theater classic episode. Like this thing also, I think, had the stink of Canada all over it for me. To meet another MS23K quote. But still, there's something here.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I surprisingly enjoyed this. I'm familiar with Lovecraft's work. I read this probably a long time ago, although I couldn't tell you what it was really like as far as reading the story goes. But I am familiar with his work, and it is really hard to film. And I think that this got really the spirit of what he does, and I thought it was really effective. I think it's got some. You said Pod People vibes. I would say almost like Body Snatcher vibes, plus some vibes of The Thing, kind of aping those things. And you know what? Paying homage to some of those things is not bad, in my opinion. I think overall I had a surprising amount of fun with this. I think the director, he knew his limitations. He knew to keep things in the shadows or only give you kind of little bits of things. And some of the creature effects are surprisingly effective and pretty horrific. I really enjoyed this. I think honestly the thing that I thought was the weakest point of this was Cage. I really did not like Nick Cage in this that much.
I will say I think he's suitably offbeat and loony in this, but the whole thing is, I think it's a little underbaked, right? I think that Stanley does a relatively good job of creating kind of these tense, unsettling moments, but there are too many moments, unfortunately, where I feel like, all right, come on, let's get on with it. Right? He spends so much time, I think, kind of creating this world and trying to ratchet up the tension that at times I think we could have shaved a little time off of this thing. There are some truly, I think, scary moments, and possibly the most terrifying moment I've had in cinema so far this year, where I was making myself a cup of tea, right? And I did a 360 and yelled, like, kind of no. Like, when there's one creature kind of makes its appearance in the attic. I think you know what I'm talking about. I think that thing is exceptionally well handled. I freaked me the hell out. So, but overall, I think I think the effects are fantastic. I think clearly that's where all the money went, is creating this color, this purple lightning kind of gas effect, whatever you want to call it. And it looks really cool and is interesting. I think there's enough to sustain you scare-wise as well. There's it just lags a little bit every now and then. I think that's about it. And I agree with you. I think Cage is one of the weaker parts of the film, unfortunately. Because you want him to be just, you want your, I owe a ton of money to the IRS, Nick Cage.
Right, you want Mandy Cage.
Right.
That's really what you're looking for.
You ripped my shirt!
You ripped my shirt!
So... Yeah, no, but overall, I think it's well worth checking out. I mean, is it worth a rental since everybody's confined to their homes? And yeah, I would definitely think so. And when I say pod people too, I think it starts off, it kind of has this kind of almost cheap feel to it in a way that, I mean, it's competently done. It looks professional, but there's a B-movie vibe running through this thing from the very beginning. So I just remember kind of just the use of the light. If you remember the pod people from that classic MST3K episode, I think you can kind of, it has that same kind of low budgety sci-fi Canada feel to it. That's all.
I think that's besmirching Canada. I mean, I think isn't pod people like German or something?
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, well.
At least parts of it are German. I don't know about the band subplot. I think that might be tacked on, but I know that the actual kid is like a German
Spanish.
Spanish, okay.
Madrid. Yeah, I think I'm combining it with The Final Sacrifice, which is one of the better episodes in the Mike era. I think that's because it's Bill Corbett's crew who says that. I think that this has the stink of Canada all over it with Ross Dower. But yeah, you're entirely right about that. Sorry about that, Canada. I guess you're not as bad as Spain? Is that who we're going to piss off next?
I guess so.
Fair enough. So, I don't know how much more I have to add about this. It has some great scary moments. Like I said, there's some really questionable decisions. This movie isn't, when the kid goes down the well looking for his dog, you're not doing that. I love my dog. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, his sister even just says it's just a dog,
Right.
But maybe the color was influencing him. It seemed to be having an effect on people's minds.
You know what? That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That is a fair point. So I feel, though, that color out of space, or color out of space, that's it, not from space, color out of space is going to get a B from me, Matt.
Yeah, I liked it a little bit more than you did. I had a good time with this. I gave it a B+.
Again, just
worlds
apart.
Oceans apart.
All right, that's fine. I think that's fair. It's listen, we all know we kind of grade on a curve here. Right, we go by what the genre of the film is, what it's trying to do, what it's saying. So is this, because I've gave much superior films to this B's last year and throughout the history of the show. But within its particular genre, this kind of lower budget sci-fi film that has a stink of Canada and Spain now all over it, it's definitely a B film. If you had a chance to see Color Out of Space, which you can rent on all your streaming platforms now, I don't believe it's available as a membership to anything. I think you still have to rent it.
Right. Well, now that we've watched it, it'll come out like next week.
That happens all the time. I can't tell you how many things we've watched that we've paid to rent that show up like on Prime like a week later.
Right.
That's right. We're supporting the biz. And by the business, I mean the industry. if you've had a chance to see The Color Out of Space, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, coming up on your home video picks, your physical media picks, if I may, was the film that we were both convinced was going to win Best Picture.
Did you hear that story about Wilco? How he lost his ear?
I'm not in the mood. Keep your eyes on the trees. Top of the ridge.
Bet he told you it was shrapnel.
What was it then?
Well, you know his girl's a hairdresser, right? And he was moaning about the lack of bathing facilities when he wrote to her. Remember those rancid jakes at Harris?
Yeah.
Anyway, she sends him over this hair oil. Smells sweet. Like golden syrup. Wilco loves the smell, but he doesn't want to cast it around in his pack. So, he slathers it all over his barnet and goes to sleep. And in the middle of the night, he wakes up and a rat is sitting on his shoulder, licking the oil off his head. Wilco panics and he jumps up, and when he does, the rat bites clean through his ear and runs off with it.
So Matt, that's a clip from 1917, Sam Mendes' Best Picture nominated film that we thought just the Academy was not going to get their ass together and give Parasite the win. Turns out they did, so good on you, Academy. You can get it from Best Buy, Matt, for a Steelbook. Includes Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. Of course, that is in the 4K version. Feature commentary by Mendes and feature commentary by Roger Deakins, which I would be interested to hear. And a whole bunch of other featurettes. An interview with Thomas Newman, who did the score as well, and more. The untold chapter of The Grudge is getting its physical media release. A major disappointment, even with expectations, Matt, that I almost tripped over. The Grudge still, this new version, this new latest sequel, is just not terribly good. With a great cast that it just entirely wastes. Includes extended scenes and some alternate endings and more. I can't recommend it to you. I just don't think it's worth your time.
I agree.
Film we're going to be doing for the show, Matt, I think, as our home video picks here, our streaming options continue, will be Come to Daddy, which is the Elijah Wood film, which I am keen to see. So that'll be going on the list. In fact, I think at some point, Matt and I will discuss what we're going to do, because AMC says they're going to be closed 6 to 12 weeks. So we got a lot of planning to do and
That's crazy.
And final segments to rejigger, because a lot of times the final segments will kind of coincide with what the main feature is. So I think, Matt, over the next few days, let's kind of figure something. I'll give you a list, and then I think on maybe this weekend I'll do a live stream when I kind of work out, calendar slot it, and then come up with some final segment ideas, and then I'll run them past you. Also coming out, The Song of Names. Tim Roth and Clive Owen star in this emotional detective story spread over 2 continents in half a century. I love me some Tim Roth and Clive Owen, so maybe if that hits some streaming things, I'll check that out. Don't Be a Dick About It, from Oscilloscope Pictures, is being released. It's a hilarious and beautiful portrait of 2 brothers growing up. The film follows the brothers around for one summer, capturing the nuances of pissing each other off. Their book series, what's it called? I just ordered it from Oscilloscope, where they do special kind of articles and essays on films, and they let the writers kind of write whatever they want about whatever film they want. And they had a 50% off sale. So it's Musings, it's called. So there's volume 1 and 2. It was actually on my holiday gift guide. And they're $35 a piece, and it had a 50% off sale. So basically I got one for free. So I'm really excited to read all about those. That'll be fun. I don't know if the sale's still going on. It may have been just over the weekend, but take a look. It might still be. New to Blu-ray, Criterion is giving us Leave Her to Heaven. A writer meets a young socialite on board a train. The two fall in love and are married soon after. But her obsessive love for him threatens to be the undoing of both of them and everyone else around them. New 2K restoration from 20th Century Fox. A new interview with critic Imogen Sarah Smith, and more. Criterion is also giving us The Cranes Are Flying. Veronica and Boris are blissfully in love, as they say, until World War II tears them apart. With Boris at the front, Veronica must try to ward off spiritual numbness and defend herself from the increasingly forceful advances of her beau's draft-dodging cousin. A new 2K restoration of that film as well. A new interview with scholar Ian Christie on why the film is a landmark of Soviet cinema. An audio interview from 1961 with the director, Mikhail Kalatozov. Nailed it. And a documentary in 2009 about his career and more. I don't know if you saw it, Matt, but Criterion 2 is moving forward with its June releases, and they've posted the cover for my second favorite film of last year, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which you would have to watch. I don't know, we may dissolve the show if we don't watch it within this streaming window or somehow at some point. I don't actually know if you can stream it now yet. Shoot. Either way, the cover's gorgeous. It's not as great as the poster that I had originally posted online is. And of course, the idiot that I am, I'm blanking on the artist. It's the optical illusion where it's the flame, but it's actually the two women, about to kiss. This new poster, though, or this new cover is beautiful as well. Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I think it comes out March 26th. Just blind buy it, people. Don't wait for the 50% off sale. Just trust me. It is gorgeous. Shout Factory is releasing Wizard. A boy and his brother run away from home and hitch cross-country with the help of a girl they meet to complete in the ultimate video game championship. It's a brand new 4K restoration of the film, audio commentary with director Todd Holland, never-before-seen deleted scenes, and then a whole disc of special features as well, a whole second disc on that. This is the Fred Savage movie, right? The video game thing. Have you ever seen it? I've never seen it.
What is it?
Wizard?
Oh, yeah. It's got Jenny Lewis from Rilo Kiley in it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scream Factory is also releasing April Fool's Day, the so-called air quotes slasher film about the young woman who kind of brings all of her friends together to their parents' secluded island for the holiday and to have a big prank on everybody, but then it turns into a bloody battle for survival. There are a ton of new features on this, mostly all interviews with cast and crew. Scream is also giving us Frankenstein, the True Story, a new 2K restoration from the original film elements of that film. It's a more psychological telling of the Mary Shelley story with a different kind of monster. A new audio commentary with filmmaker, film historian Sam Irvin, and some new interviews with the cast and crew as well on that one. Arrow is giving us The Passion of Darkly Noon, which has like one of the most mid to late 90s casts ever. Three of them really. Ashley Judd, Viggo Mortensen, and Brandon Fraser are all in this film. Fraser plays Darkly Noon, a disturbed young man who receives a sheltered upbringing from his strict Christian parents. When the elder Noons pass on, Darkly wanders off aimlessly until he is picked up by a passing truck driver named Jude. Jude leaves a physically worn Dark with Callie and Clay, a young married couple. As Callie cares for Darkly, he begins to develop romantic and sexual feelings for her, feelings that threaten to turn violent when Darkly is taunted by the love between Callie and Clay. I have never heard of this film at all, but Arrow's putting out a real special edition release of it. They're also giving us Beyond the Door, which is a horror film. A young married woman becomes a pregnant bearer of the seed of Satan. That has to suck. It's a limited 2-edition Blu-ray. There's going to be 3,000 units of this one, at least I'm sure the special edition. The brand new 2K restoration includes the extended uncut English export version, a bonus disc that contains the alternate US theatrical and Italian versions, as well as a brand new feature-length documentary on Italian exorcism movies. It might be worth getting just to watch that. There's also a Perfect Bound collector's booklet featuring new writings of the film and more. I mean, there's a ton of stuff on this one for special features. Your straight-to-DVD pick of the week, Matt. This one I don't know what to do about. When I saw this, I'm like, oh, good, and a World War II movie. Everybody loves World War II movies. And then I saw that cast. Okay. It's called D-Day Battle of Omaha Beach. Some people called it a suicide, but for the Rangers of the 2nd Battalion, that's another word for mission. When an elite group of American soldiers are ordered to take out a series of German is what the word is, machine gun nests, they find themselves blindly venturing into hostile territory. Outnumbered and outgunned, they must risk life and limb as they cross treacherous terrain, never knowing where the enemy might be hiding. Based on the incredible true story of heroes Lieutenant Colonel James Rudder, Lieutenant General Omar Bradley, and Major Cleveland Little, and a day that was destined to change history. Pretty straightforward, right?
Right.
Here's who plays James Rudder. Weston Cage Coppola. Who plays Lieutenant Omar Bradley. Chuck Liddell.
Oh my God.
And then Cleveland Little is played by Randy Couture.
No way.
Yes.
Wow, like old, like geriatric UFC guys. That's crazy.
It's some brilliant casting. That's all I can say. I have no idea. So which will we be streaming this week, in addition to what we'll be talking about in our final segment?
Yeah, and that you'll be hearing about a lot over the coming weeks. So I watched a film called Freaks. I had seen it kind of pop up in
Is this the Alex Winter one, or this is the new one with Emil Hirsch?
This is the one with Emil Hirsch.
Okay.
So this is kept locked inside the house by her father. 7-year-old Chloe lives in fear and fascination of the outside world, where abnormals create a constant threat, or so she believes. When a mysterious stranger offers her a glimpse of what's really happening outside, Chloe soon finds that while the truth isn't so simple, the danger is very real. So this is a film that, for the first half of it, I was kind of wondering where they were going to go with it. And I think it's either to its detriment or maybe to its credit that they don't telegraph what they're going to be doing. But once it actually gets rolling, it gets to be really, really cool. And I like really how it ended. So I would be curious to see, people check it out and tell me what you think. It's an interesting look at a kind of hoary and cliched genre. There
you go. Yeah, I heard about it, and actually was playing around here. I didn't check it out though, so interesting.
Yeah, it's available on the Flicks, the Netflix, as the kids say.
All right, what do they call it? It's called Netflix and Hangout or something.
Netflix and
Spill.
Let's watch Netflix and spend some time together is what they call it.
Okay.
They have to use all those words too.
All right, let's keep rolling because I'm sure the world is ending soon. We got to get this content out while the people are confined.
That's right.
Before everybody becomes mindless zombies.
People themselves occupied, while they're in their bunkers. We're doing a service for the world.
Yep. No, that's what we're here for. We're here for you. So let's spend a few minutes talking about the Crippled Avengers.
Well, this is Two's wife here, and that's his son. Grab them. Gonna kill him? No. Hey, I know that Two has a bodyguard named Juan. Where is he? I thought that he'd be here. He went with Two on business. All right. We must do something. Still, I don't really fancy killing women and children. Two Tin Toe is too damned arrogant. In my view, he needs a lesson to show him that he's not invincible and that we mean business. Right. Let's cut his wife's legs off and his son's arms off. Right.
So I imagine you're thinking this is like an Asylum ripoff of like Marvel superhero movies, right? With the Crippled Avengers. But not quite. So our film opens with possibly one of the greatest scenes in the history of martial arts films, I think.
Okay.
When a couple of people come to take out a master of tiger-style kung fu, but he's not there. So they want him to know they were there, though, so they cut off the legs of his wife and cut off the arms of his son. And it is one of the weirdest and yet most hilarious scenes I've seen yet in any of these films that we've been doing for the marathon.
That's really saying something.
I was like, greatest opening ever? I put that in my notes. I absolutely adored it. It is just crazy and insane. So anyway, what happens is the father then, who again is a master of tiger style, which may come up again later in the stinger, he returns home and he finds his wife dead and his son crippled. So he trains his son to become a martial arts master and fits him with iron gloves that somehow kind of still work with his fingers and also shoot like razor darts or razor guitar picks, I think is the best way to describe them.
Man, that was so awesome. When those came out, I was like, I am in for a treat.
Right, so I'm thinking, wow, this guy, his family was torn apart, but it turns out he's a bad guy, Matt.
Yeah, I know, right?
And he tortures other people. So he mains these other people he come into contact with. One of them he blinds. One of them he makes him mute, right? Deaf and mute. He can't talk and he can't hear. Another one he basically squeezes his head so much that he becomes like a child, right? He makes him
crazy. They describe him as they make him crazy.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And then there's one guy where they cut off his legs. And he gets iron legs like the other guy's got the iron hands, right?
Yes.
And our friends then, our warriors here, our 5 less than deadly venoms, or 5 crippled venoms, have to then kind of have a plot, sort of, to take revenge on the bad master of the tiger style. And that's basically what this film is about. And I'm telling you, Matt, this thing came roaring out of the gate, right? I'm having a great time with this. It's rip-roaring. It's a lot of fun. And then it kind of tapers off. And it really loses steam a little more than halfway through. And then by the end, where we're having these big climactic martial arts fights, I am bored.
Right.
Which is horrible to say, unfortunately. And I'm like, when is this gonna end? What? And then of course it just abruptly ends, like all these movies do. You know, it's and the fact they have a secret weapon. They got the guy with the iron legs, right?
Right.
But he's nowhere in the final fight until like the last minute and a half when they could have used him previously. They even like consider him like, what do they call him? They're Jack in the Hole instead of like ace in the hole, whatever they call him. It's something weird.
Right. Yeah.
And he's gonna go hide until they need him. Well, they could have used him for like 10 minutes into this final climactic fight. So I still enjoyed the hell out of it for the most part. I still wonder why everybody waits their turn to fight. I don't know if it's an honor thing when you have 30 guys and only going up against 3 or 4, but that's fine.
Right.
I don't understand why nobody in these films can actually grow their own sideburns. Why everybody wears these elaborate hair pieces.
Yeah, why does everybody have long hair with a tight top knot and huge sideburns? If you see that in any of these films, you know that's the main character. That's somebody who's got like speaking lines.
That's right. Still, I'm going to say for me it was one of the stronger entries in the series we've done so far in both marathons.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Both marathons? Okay.
I think so. I mean, it's middle to the end, but still, I enjoyed enough out of it. What are your thoughts about the Crippled Avengers?
Yeah, I had never seen this. I had heard of it. So like you said, I was really on board with this. I think this thing peaks when they get into the fight, when you first see them really fight as the Crippled Avengers against like the Tiger style guy's champion, and he's like handily taking care of all of them, where then the Iron Leg guy kicks him like right through his chest, like literally kicks a hole in his sternum, and he just kind of like gets up. I thought, oh, this guy's dead. Like he just literally just put 6 inches of iron into his solar plexus, and he just kind of looks at himself with this gaping wound and like starts fighting, you know?
And does his intestines come out? Did I skip that? I think, and he kind of tucks them back in. Right.
Yeah, there's stuff spilling out of him, and he
that
just
guy
kind
is
of
strong.
gets up and starts fighting. Yeah, he's not playing around. And I think you're right. I mean, at some point, this thing kind of just becomes tedious, and it kind of loses so much steam in the middle there that's like by the time the final climactic battle comes around, which overall is still pretty fun, you've kind of lost some of your juice for the film. So which is too bad. But overall, I had a pretty good time with this.
Yeah, you know, I hate the term juice. I've started to realize, like, some women don't like the term moist.
Yeah.
Especially juices. When people use the term, you know, like the guy, his intestines came out and all his juices came. Just don't like it. Makes me uncomfortable.
Okay. Well, it's become part of my lexicon, so you're probably going to hear it a lot from me.
Awesome. So, yeah, I would say for about, this thing runs 100 minutes, right? I'd say for about 80 minutes or so, I'm actually really enjoying this thing. So much, in fact, that I decided to give it a B+. And I think it's the opening of this is so strong, which is how ridiculous and nonchalant, like, all right, let's cut off her legs. Okay, sounds great. You know?
Yeah, like I like how they cut her legs off. She literally I laughed out loud. She just literally just falls over and dies within like 10 seconds of her legs being cut off. And then they cut his son's arms off, who's like 9 years old, and he doesn't cry. He's completely fine. They're just like, oh, you have your arms are gone, and they're like, oh, when you get better, I'm like, really? You just heal from that? You're fine?
'Tis but a scratch. And I think it's a worthy pseudo-sequel to the Five Deadly Venoms. Though I think the Five Deadly Venoms is still a better film than this. Mm-hmm. But you could definitely see kind of there's some similar stuff throughout this one. But I got to tell you, I'm still enjoying the hell out of this marathon, so I'm glad you were able to... You have to come up with another one. Can you do Martial Arts 3 for 2021?
Yeah, I can try. It was funny because I was thinking about these, and as the Shaw's Brother logo came up for the 4th time in this marathon, I'm like, you know what? We're really watching. All we're watching is like Hong Kong kung fu movies. Like, I'm gonna start looking around to see what else I can find from like other countries and see what we can get into.
Well, I was gonna ask you about that when I'm watching this. Like, do they only come from? Like, is that the hub of all these martial arts films? Is Shaw's just kind of bought everything and brought it to the States?
No, I mean they're kind of like they were the center at the time, especially in the 60s and 70s. They were really the only ones putting out a whole lot of content. They were producing a ton of movies out of Hong Kong, kind of like a Bollywood or something like that, So they were it. But I mean, as my love of these things really progressed, I mean, there's plenty of American and Japanese and Thai. There's other ones you can find. I guess I don't know why I kind of focus on the kung fu ones, but
that's fine.
We'll have to. I'll do some digging. I'll have something for you guys for 2021, I guess.
Sounds good. And we have some news as well. I think we have a little housekeeping here to just mention at the end. Did you give me your score for this?
No, I didn't. I gave it a B-.
Okay.
I think it lost a lot of steam for me in the middle there.
Fair enough. So I have some housekeeping, as I said.
Okay.
So we had a email from our good friend Sean, a regular listener to the show, who wanted to point out, because he loves martial arts films, Matt.
Okay.
He actually works in China as well, which I think is fascinating.
Interesting. Okay.
Tells you about our global reach.
It is, yeah.
It's not wuxia. It's
okay.
wuxia.
Wuxia. Okay.
So show proper respect.
Sorry. I mean...
wuxia.
I had literally never heard the word spoken before, so thank you, Sean. I appreciate that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody listening thinks Matt needs to be corrected about something, do not hesitate. Feedback at thefirstrun.com. I'm going to set up a whole new email. Matt corrections.
Matt corrections. You should set one up for each of us, and then let's keep a running total and see what we get by the end of the year. Who gets more? Me or you?
I know I just love that I got.
You're absolutely right.
I have that forever, so I can pull that out whenever I need to. All right, feedback at thefirstrun.com. Matt, let's move on then. Let's recommend some stuff for people to watch while they are self-quarantining. I'm sure some people will either have a child in 9 months. Other people will be getting divorced. I hope the best for all of you. Let's keep rolling.
This is probably one you're going to regret.
Excuse me?
My husband's an honorable man. We're not who you think we are.
I think I know your father.
Good for you. My husband is not my father. Not even close. So if I were you, I would start treating us with a little more respect, or I guarantee he will make it his mission in life to ruin you. This was very disrespectful.
That, of course, is Jessica Chastain and David Oyelowo in J.C. Chander's A Most Violent Year, an A24 release back in 2014 that just not a lot of people have seen that thing, Matt, and it is fantastic. Features really also good. Oscar Isaac as well, and Albert Brooks. And we just ran down some genres, Matt. We had action, comedy, horror, drama, romance, right? And then, am I missing one?
Horror, comedy, action, drama, sci-fi, romance.
That's it. So that's another one I forgot because I am horrible. Man. So anyway, we didn't have mystery thriller. So I thought, well, I'll just throw out there A Most Violent Year. So Matt, let's leave sci-fi for last because I dropped the ball when getting everything together and coming up with different ways. We're trying to this will be a whole video show if everything works properly. Or we'll have to re-record the whole thing and Matt will be furious with me this weekend. We'll see how it all goes.
I can't wait. Fingers crossed, guys.
All right, so Matt, why don't you start us off with a topic that is not science fiction?
Not science fiction. Okay, so I'm going to go, the order that I have them in is comedy. So first up is comedy. Now, I cheated a little bit at this, Chris. I have I think Chris would call the layup picks, and then I have something maybe a little deeper cut. So, you know what? I'm giving you options here, guys. So the comedy that I went with is Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I think is maybe like 1B on a given day of Edgar Wright's films for me. I remember when I saw this, I was absolutely blown away by it. I was a pleasant surprise. I had very low expectations or no expectations. And when that 8-bit theme and that kickoff song while they're in their their studio apartment. Man, I was on board with this from like scene one. So, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, available on Netflix.
No, that is rock solid. I tried to find some stuff that maybe people may have forgotten about or did not have a chance to catch up with. Now, though, I think it's probably fair. I don't know how huge Scott Pilgrim. It didn't perform particularly well, right? If I remember correctly.
No, it didn't. No.
Oh God, that's heartbreaking to even think about. Oof. Anyway, yeah. Man, that's sad. Watch Scott Pilgrim. Okay, so if we were doing comedy, then I didn't actually select a movie, Matt, for comedy. You know what I selected?
Show?
It is still a streaming pick. Yes.
Okay.
On Netflix, and it's I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson's show, which is about 15, 20-minute sketch episodes in those shows. And I am telling you, man, that thing is hilarious. It is just, but here's the thing. It's kind of offbeat, and the whole, almost every skit is kind of just how crazy people will get to avoid uncomfortable situations or embarrassing themselves, like everything that, you know, you would do. Right. And it's just very weird and off the wall. Like Baby of the Year, which I think is one of the first sketches, had me laughing so hard I almost cried. There's one scene where a hot dog car crashes into a store. That's very, I mean, I think it's only like 5 or 6 episodes. Like I said, they're 15, 20 minutes each maybe, and they're all I think they're all great. It's 6 episodes. So you can check that out on Netflix. I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. He was on SNL. I don't know if he still is, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, rock solid comedy in my opinion.
Very good. All right, so next up on my list I have action adventure. Now this may be a bit of a layup, so sorry, but I think you know what? I don't know what you guys have seen and what you haven't. So kind of going along with our martial arts marathon is my absolute favorite of the Tarantino films, which is Kill Bill's Volume 1 and 2. And I'm putting them both down. You need to watch them both. I'm probably in the minority where I prefer the first one, just the kind of insane stuff that goes on in that first one. Although the second one is much more of a coherent emotional story. But it is a fantastic time from beginning to end. If you haven't seen it, well, I don't know why you haven't. You should go out and see it right now. You got plenty of time. It's available on Netflix.
Yeah, I still got to get you that Renegade cut thing, whatever it is it's called, that I got. Right? Did I ever get you that? The whole body of that. It's the fan version.
Yeah, no, you haven't.
Which is, it's basically the whole bloody affair. Also included is the deleted scene with Michael J. White, which I don't think
Black
is
Dynamite
in
himself.
Yeah. So I think you can watch that online still in some dark places of the internet while you're scoring some drugs. I don't know what it is you kids do nowadays. All right, so that's action, right? All right.
That's action.
I'm going to go then. Currently available on Amazon Prime is John Frankenheimer's Ronin with Bobby D and an all-star cast as well of really great supporting players. Ronin, De Niro joins up with a bunch of thieves, and they're looking to steal something, right? It's one of those classic MacGuffins. And there's more to what's going on than meets the eye. The script was co-written by David Mamet as well, which I think will kind of pique your interest if you're a Mamet guy like I am. I've watched Glengarry Glen Ross, Matt, 3 times in the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Wow.
I just get in a weird, vibe with that film, and I have to keep watching it. Either way, it is a great action film with one of the best car chases of the 20th century. It is rock solid, very thrilling, very action-oriented, very fast-paced. It's really well done. Some great shootouts and backstabbing and who can you trust. And it's just one of those great little films. And De Niro totally nails it. So that's it. Ronin is my action pick.
All right. Very good. All right, so my drama pick is a film that may have been mentioned once or twice on this show. My esteemed co-host is actually not allowed to talk about it, but I watched Only God Forgives for the first time the other day, and wow, Chris, wow. But I'm going to recommend something much more accessible by this particular director and star, Drive, which is I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I remember I really enjoyed it, but I just forgot how good this film really is. Just everything about it is just fantastic. The performances, the direction, the cinematography, and then just when the action comes, just how brutal and unforgiving it is just really took me off guard, especially the first time I saw it. So if you haven't seen Drive, please turn this off right now. You've got your next viewing thing. Go watch it right now. Available on Netflix, guys.
I have no opinion about that film.
I know you should go watch it, Chris. I think you might like it.
I do love Only God Forgives. I get the hate for it. I understand but I think that thing it's a waking nightmare, that film. And when you get into the symbolism of what it is and who the characters are and how everything kind of plays out, that film is though all mood. Really, it is. It's almost a meme in itself, that film. So I love Oh My God Forgives. I saw it in this tiny theater at the Criterion Cinemas in New Haven, Connecticut, Matt. And it was what do they call it? It was like the screening room. There was a total of like 12 or 13 seats.
Wow.
And it was like somebody had set up a projector in their man cave, that type of a thing. But still.
Feels like you're about to watch a snuff film or something.
Basically, right. Yeah. All right. So that was drama, huh?
Yep.
That's weird. I don't know if I would consider that a drama per se, but either of those films. Either way, my drama is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. Should have been a lock for a Best Picture nomination as well as a Best Actress nomination for Awkwafina, and that is Lulu Wang's The Farewell, one of the best films of 2019. A family drama. Awkwafina plays a young woman, and she is told by her family that her grandmother is dying from cancer. So they're all going to visit her grandmother to say goodbye, but the way the culture works is that they can't tell her that's actually what's happening. So they arrange a wedding of one of their relatives, and that's why everybody's coming to wish her farewell. And it is funny. It is heartbreaking. It is a stunning first-time film from Lulu Wang. So I can't recommend it enough. Spend some time with The Farewell. It will soothe and break your heart. So there you go.
Very good. All right, so for romance, I have a bit of a kind of a unconventional romance. It's the romance between a man and his self-aware AI assistant that lives in his phone. Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and the voice of Scarlett Johansson, is about a near future where a very lonely man who lacks human connection develops a relationship and falls in love with the AI that kind of lives in his phone and runs his life. It is a really poignant film that really makes you look at kind of the separation that we have from each other with the technology and everything else. Not to be a Luddite or sound like my parents or anything like that, but it is something to think about. And it is, and even on top of all that, it is a very sweet kind of love story that's tragic in its own way. So available on Netflix.
That's solid. That's a good one. I had thought about that too. And you could also, would that be a science fiction film too? I guess it would be, right?
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
And it could be a drama, maybe? I don't know. Either way, my romance then, Matt, is from Adam Brooks. He wrote and directed this film, 2008. So I'm going to go back a bit for everybody, all right? And that is the Ryan Reynolds vehicle, Definitely Maybe, with Abigail Breslin, Kevin Kline, Elizabeth Banks, Isla Fisher, Rachel Weisz. And I remember when I saw this in the theater, it's very funny, it's very adorable, and it gets you in the feels. I was actually at the end tearing up, Matt. It is very sweet, but not, it's not overtly saccharinely sweet, right? You're not going to be at the end of this thing going, oh God, here we go, like Hallmark romance type movie. It's very clever, it's very well done. So Breslin is talking to Ryan Reynolds, who's her dad, and trying to figure out who her mom is, of these kind of three women that he's telling the story of who he romanced at different times of his life, right? And they're going to figure out which one is, because I should say, it's not like she doesn't know who her mom is. Let me clarify. It's where she doesn't know like the backstory, right, of which of the three women he's talking about is her, and then until the final reveal at the end. So, but even then, it's not. Well, I just don't want to ruin it for you. It's very clever, and it's a lot of fun, and it's currently available on Hulu. Definitely, maybe criminally underseen. It's a wonderful little film. So there you go. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think I have.
You and the missus and even the little one should check it out. It's really really good.
All right. That's a Gosling vehicle, you said?
No, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Did I say Gosling? It's Reynolds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that got me thinking about. You remember that Gosling movie, Half Nelson?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought of that. I just thought of the Ryan Gosling meme.
Don't know either.
Yeah. Maybe because you said Ryan Gosling. That's why I was like, oh, what else has that guy done? All right. So my horror film is one that teaches you the dangers of going outside. It'll make you glad that maybe you're staying inside because what's out there is nothing but danger. This is the story of a group of women who go out on an adventure for themselves. Decide to go into a cave that's unexplored, and just bad stuff happens.
I have the same pick.
Is it? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. It's a fantastic pick. The Descent, available on Prime and Hulu, and obviously, I've said it multiple times on the show, but guys, I'm not even kidding. The most horrifying parts of that film are just them stuck in the cave and having to get through those little tight little corners and stuff. Gives me the willies every time I watch it. It's so creepy.
Yeah, this is not the film if you're claustrophobic at all.
No.
This is Neil Marshall, I think, at the height of his powers. He had done Dog Soldiers, I believe, prior to this. And then afterwards he did Doomsday, which is still pretty good as far as science fiction action films go. What is it? Rooney Mitra? I can't now blanking on what her name is. Either way, though, The Descent is fantastic. It is one of the more scary films that I saw back in the aughts, and it still holds up. Rona Mitra, thank you, from Doomsday. But yeah, no, I can't recommend it enough. The creatures, too, the designs are really creepy and good, and is also this why it's so effective. It's not just a claustrophobia, though that's really a number one why. Because you feel trapped, but not only by what's happening to these women, but also the fraying bonds between them as secrets start to come out as the film unrolls, right? It is really well done. So yeah, The Descent's actually my horror pick as well. So.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. See, this is I almost thought about should we like coordinate our list so we don't have the same things, but we decided to go blind, and it happens. Happens,
that's right. Well, clearly that means it's the number one film you should choose. And if we both came up with
It's very true. It's very true. All right, so my sci-fi pick is a classic of the genre, a cult classic, and its sequel that people have been clamoring for a long time. Shows that maybe it wasn't as broad of an appeal as we thought. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and recommend the original, Blade Runner, based off of a Philip K. Dick story called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And since you know it's based on Philip K. Dick, you know it's going to be really weird. Stars Harrison Ford as a private detective who hunts down replicant artificial humans who go rogue. It's a really kind of strange look into the near future, kind of what is life, what is what is humanity kind of thing, and has I think probably one of my favorite ad-lib little speeches from any science fiction movie ever at the very end with Rutger Hauer. It's available. I think most of these, like most of them, is available on Netflix.
Yeah. No, it is. I have the 5-disc version that came out on Blu-ray when it first came out, which has like the theatrical cut, the director's cut, the final cut, as well as the Renegade cut, which is I guess the original. Is it Renegade or no? The work print. Renegade cut I think is Highlander 2, if I'm remembering correctly. So, but yeah, no, I've yet to watch the work print version, though I've had this thing forever. I think you can now only get the final cut on Blu-ray. I don't think the set is in print anymore.
Oh, look at you.
I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that. No, that's a great pick, Matt. It's not the right pick for a science fiction film because I think a lot of people may have seen it. So I'm going to recommend currently available on Netflix, and that is Jonathan Glazer's Under the Skin.
Oh.
with Scarlett
That was-
Johansson.
That was actually my honorable mention for sci-fi. That was my second choice.
So Scarlett Johansson plays, well, an alien comes to Earth to interact, we'll say, with people, and yeah, takes the appearance of Scarlett Johansson. Not the actress, but just as a person who looks, she plays whatever. And it is weird and really creepy and unsettling. And then she starts to kind of become comfortable in the world, and then things go wrong, and then it's just one of those ones that kind of just sticks to you, right? You can't get out of your head after you watch it. Some fantastic, striking visuals, and an absolutely haunting score by Mika Levy that I still listen to this day with regularity. It is fantastic. If you haven't seen Under the Skin, it's a weird one, all right? Kind of like if you liked Annihilation, maybe, it's kind of in that kind of similar vibe. The weirder than Annihilation, I think. So, yeah, no, that's great. And I think Annihilation I'd also throw out there, too, if you haven't seen it. Moon actually was my initial pick, the Duncan Jones film.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has some unfortunate casting with Kevin Spacey, but it's just in a voice role.
Yeah.
And Sam Rockwell is really the main part of that film. But there's a great little thing up with that film, so, yeah. Any other honorable mentions, Matt?
Yeah, so my second choice for all of these for comedy was The Other Guys, the Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg buddy cop comedy.
Yep.
Is available on Netflix. For horror, I did Danny Boyle's kind of breakthrough with 28 Days Later, available on Hulu. For action adventure, I went with the original Cloverfield, found footage giant monster film. For drama, I went with an early Johnny Depp vehicle with What's Eating Gilbert Grape, available on Prime. And for romance, I chose If Beale Street Could Talk on Hulu.
Oh, God, I love that film. Beale Street.
And I want to just point, if you guys want to go into like a weird rabbit hole that I've been going on to, skip all that and head over to fanedit.org, where you can look at all kinds of different kind of edits, obviously fan edits of films that different people have put together. My favorites are to look at all of the different Hobbits, where they cut apart pieces of Peter Jackson's The Hobbit into like a coherent, good movie. It's worth poking around on. You can find some really interesting, weird stuff in there.
Who did that? Was it Zach Braff? Who did that? Who made a
Topher Grace?
Topher Grace, that's right.
Yeah, he made a really awesome version of the prequel trilogies. He just took the good parts of it and made like a apparently an incredible like film out of it, and never to see the light of day.
We'll have to see if we can track that down somehow.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that's hard to track down, I wanted to recommend Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is a BBC comedy that is modern times but set like in the early 80s with like cheap effects and horrible acting, very stilted, all on purpose. Rich Iota's in it as well. It is hilarious, like rolling on the floor, crying, funny. All right, I remember the first time I bought a bootleg DVD of it when I was in Toronto, because I had heard so much about it and I hadn't been able to. I think I still had dial-up at the time or something. I don't know, so I couldn't download it. But because LimeWire was a dangerous place to be back then. So. But Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is absolutely hilarious if you haven't seen it. A couple of the things, too, if you're looking for a series to what do you call it there? When you watch them all at once. What is wrong with me? I got to see a doctor. Binge. Wow.
Binge, yes. Wow.
Amazon Prime has the entirety of The Americans, which is one of the best shows of the 20th century if you haven't seen it. And then finally, I found out last month that Unsolved Mysteries are all on Amazon Prime as well. And that is quite a fun little throwback, Matt, with Robert Stack, watching those old Unsolved Mystery episodes.
Yeah, I mean, Unsolved Mysteries, that's, there was nothing quite like the kind of 80s paranormal shows. Those were crazy.
Yeah, and that theme song, too, is creepy as hell.
Yeah, it is.
So what would you recommend? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. What are you guys watching while you are self-quarantining? Check out the stuff we recommend. We'd love to hear your thoughts of whatever you do watch. Let us know. All right, Matt. So coming up next week, I don't know. Maybe Swallow. I'm hearing great things about that. There's a bunch of stuff that we need to check out, so we'll figure it out. Our martial arts marathon continues, Matt, next week. Though off the top of my head, I have no idea which film it is. Do you know?
It is The Way of the Dragon. Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, in Italy for some reason. Fantastic.
Nice. Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Oh, man. I was really enjoying this. Okay, so we'll be doing our Martial Arts 2 Marathon Awards. So we'll be figuring that out. And then, I don't know if we're going to do Guns Akimbo coming up. VFW I want to see. Guns Akimbo, we got an issue. The director, supposedly just like raging racist guy. He had like a big Twitter meltdown.
All right. Well, I mean, the problem though is Samara Weaving, and I kind of want to watch stuff that she's in.
Yeah, no, I'm hear you. And then also the Jesus Rolls that Turturro directed, sort of sequel of The Big Lebowski. There is just so much that's coming up. We'll be talking about I Lost My Body soon, which I'm very excited about. So, but everything's in flux. Our schedule is usually, it's on our Twitter page. It's a pinned tweet, but it's going to be a major overhaul, folks. So we got to figure out what to do. Man, can you imagine if the theaters were closed for 3 months? 3 months.
That's crazy. I don't know what the hell we're going to do with ourselves.
Black Widow's been postponed officially today. All this stuff. I don't... Man.
Well, I mean, they say it can keep going until July, the worst case scenario.
Well, I heard worst case scenario 18 months.
Really? Wow.
That this could, like, if things go horribly wrong,
right?
If it flares back up. Good times.
Good
We're
times
all going to die.
Yep. Hey, you know what, though? I just want to point this out. One last thing. So Chris was, when we were talking, I think it was last week's show, we were talking about Don Hertzfeld's and his stuff that was available. It's Such a Beautiful Day.
Yeah.
If you go out to his website right now, bitterfilms.org, or maybe it's .com, he has, he's selling DVDs or Blu-rays of all of his work. Everything that he's done, all of his shorts, everything he's got for $30, including It's Such a Beautiful Day.
Oh, wow. That might be worth checking out then.
Mm-hmm.
Great wreck, as the kids say.
Thanks.
Great wreck. All right. That's enough content for you people for this week. We're going to take an extended break, and we will see you all soon. Thanks for listening. I'm an idiot. I forgot to tell you where to find us. Go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Just search for The First Run. You scroll, you eventually will find us. Go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. We'll read it on air and help other people find the show. That's it. Here's your stinger. Adios.